Mr. Chairman, thank you all for being here this morning. Very interesting testimony, and appreciate your taking the time to enlighten us. Particularly, Ms. Clarke, I found your testimony interesting, considering your background, your work at the federal level, and now at the state level. And I think I could get from your testimony the feeling of being burdened by regulations towards your efforts of saving the greater sage grouse. I live in Central Washington. In my district, we have the Yakima Training Center, which is a 327,000 acre training site for our military. Of that, there are 77,000 acres that are currently designated sage grouse protection area. The Army's already taken various steps and spent a lot of money to operate in a manner that minimizes its impact on these species. Things like seasonal management and habitat protection. If we further, if ESA further, under a listing, would further impact and really take a lot of the training center out of being operable and very severely limit its ability to carry out its mission. So with that kind of a perspective from me, I would like you to elaborate, Ms. Clarke, if I could, a little bit further on your testimony that federal regulators' focus is increasingly unilateral and somewhat dismissive of the state conservation action.
I think it goes back to my statement that I really don't believe regulation is going to conserve the species. And that is at the core of a listing. It's a very severe regulatory move. I appreciate the members of the panel here and their general agreement that we don't have to go there, but we are starting to see this regulatory heavy hand on the plans of our federal partners, and that is the BLM and the Forest Service. And I have grave concerns that those plans may become so detrimental to our ability to access, enjoy, and utilize the lands in our states, such as Yakima, that the plans may be, in fact, more dangerous than a listing. So what we are all struggling for right now, and it's what I've heard from my companions here, is that we are holding out hope that we can negotiate with the Department of the Interior and with Department of Agriculture and the Forest Service to get to a point where the plans are responsible, that they acknowledge that the states have a very significant role in conservation, and that together we don't need to list, but we don't need to shut down the public lands either.
I appreciate that. And I was trying to scribble down your quotation, see if I can use that at some point with your permission. So further question for you, Mr. Miller. I think everybody on the panel has brought up in some reference to wildfire prevention, suppression, restoration as keys to protecting the greater sage grouse. So as you may or may not know, this committee has been working hard to spearhead efforts, legislation that will help support states in targeting wildfire prevention. So in your view, what is the ideal role of the federal government in wildfire mitigation, and how do these efforts tie in with supporting ongoing state-level sage grouse protection measures?
Well, I appreciate that question, Congressman, and it truly, this comes down to a collaborative and recognizing, where we can come together to do the most good on the wildfire front in Idaho and other Great Basin states. I do appreciate the Secretary of the Interior releasing a secretarial order on wildland fire in, I believe, February this year that redirects resources and prioritizes activities in sage grouse habitat. Of course, human life and property is always a priority, but now the Interior Department has allowed sage grouse to be a priority within their wildland firefighting system. So it truly is a partnership with the federal government. We've got a vast landscape in Idaho, predominantly managed by the federal government. And so I do appreciate the Interior Department taking that step forward to reprioritize their actions in sage grouse habitat on federal lands.
Yeah, thank you very much.